Hey everybody, it's your old buddy, Uncle Rich, the truth detector. And guys, I tell you, we got our hands full tonight. And tonight's show, this is show number 267. Today's date is June 24th, 2019. And the name of tonight's show is going to be called Trumpkins. Nice job, Kurt. Hey guys, you can say Trumpkins, Actually, guys, I wanted to call the show Alternate Universe because I tell you, some people live in an alternate universe. And guys, one of my favorite friends on Facebook, Kenny Johnson, I tried to get him to watch the first clip that we're going to play. And it's a clip from John Oliver. And I asked him to watch it. And guys, for what reason, I don't understand it, most conservatives refuse to watch something that's liberal. So I said to Kenny, I asked him, I said, Kenny, what are you afraid of? Just watch the show. It ain't gonna bite you. And I said, Kenny, if you watch the show, you're not going to turn into a pumpkin. The old Cinderella routine, if you're not home by 12. But that's almost what it's like. These conservatives, they feel that if they watch something liberal, like they're going to get infected. And guys, well, you are going to get infected because what happens is you're going to be as shocked as I am. And with this first clip, we're going to show you this lady who listens to conservative media and lives in an alternate universe, thereby making her a Trumpkin. So guys, listen carefully, and I tell you, John Oliver did a beautiful job. But here we go. This is the short version with clip number 02. Hit it, Kurt. I got no volume.
At least one of his attendees was genuinely shocked to hear that Trump might have done anything wrong.
Anything
I was
wrong?
surprised to hear there was anything negative in the Mueller report at all about President Trump. I hadn't heard that before, and I mainly listened to conservative news, and I hadn't heard anything negative about that report, and President Trump had been exonerated.
Yeah, that's what'll happen when you mainly listen to conservative news.
Guys, when you listen to conservative news, you live in an alternate universe and you tend to get everything wrong. And we're going to play just the very beginning of that clip again, just so you can hear the word wrong. So Kurt, number 2 again, just to the wrong spot.
At least one of his attendees was genuinely shocked to hear that Trump might have done anything wrong.
Anything wrong. You believe that? Well, guys, there was one person that had a very difficult time saying the word wrong. It just didn't fit with his nature. And I think you're going to find a comparison to the TV character that we're going to show you and a correlation with Trump. So, Kurt, let's have some fun with clip number 03.
Look, I know what I told you to do, but when I told you to do that, I was... Ralph, I was not exactly right. What do you mean, not right?
Not right.
I mean, not right. I don't get you. You mean you were wrong?
What?
Yeah, that's right, Malf. I was what you just said I was just then, yeah. Wrong? The Fonz wrong?
And guys, that's what it's like. I mean, that's what it's going to be like for people like Uncle Joey and Kenny Johnson. When they find out Trump is wrong, they're going to have an epiphany. They're not going to know what to do. But you know what? We know what to do, and we'll back it up with some evidence from Chris Cuomo. And Like he says, there's strong and there's wrong, and there's strong and wrong. So Kurt, clip number 4, please.
As clear as it is that this president was wrong about the Central Park Five and that his clinging to his belief reflects a prejudice against them, it's clear that he has never learned from his mistakes. Strong and wrong is a dangerous combination, and one we see from this president back then and today.
Strong and wrong is a dangerous combination. And we got them both in the White House, and we're going to prove it to you tonight. And the next clip, the Central Park 5 thing, I kind of forgot about it. I really did. And I got to be honest with you guys. When I first heard about this Central Park thing back in the late 80s, I was pissed. With this wilding stuff and raping the women, and I want to tell you, I'll never forget it. When I found out that these guys did this, when I thought I found out that these guys did it, I'll never forget it, because I wasn't even as nice as Trump. I said, you know what, honey? Should cut their dicks off and throw them in jail for the rest of their life. And guys, that's a God's honest truth. That's how livid I was, because I thought these people weren't even human beings. And what happens? The judge vacated their sentences, and we'll just play clip number 5 so you can see where it went. So Kurt, hit it.
A judge vacated the convictions, and years of civil suits followed. But still, despite all that new information, the president today said this.
You have people on both sides of that. They admitted their guilt.
You have people on both sides of that. Why does that sound so familiar? People on both sides. Haven't we heard that before? Kurt, let's see if we could refresh our memory with clip number 6, please.
And you have, you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. And what I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side, and you had a group on the other.
So, you know what? I'll say it. So Trump is out there defending Nazis, white nationalists. He's not man enough to say, hey, wait a minute. This crap don't float in my toilet. We're going to make sure that this guy spends the rest of his life in jail for mowing down a bunch of protesters. No. Why? He doesn't have the Galaducci's to do it. He's got to pretend. He's got to go along with his base. He's got to spark his base. And I'll tell you, Trump went so far as to take out full-page ads in the New York Times, the failing New York Times. And he even did some commercials. And guys, this is one of the mothers of one of the kids that was exonerated before he was exonerated. And just listen to what this mother has to go through. So Kurt, number 7, please.
If I were starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black, because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
That devil wants to kill my son. You gonna take an ad out about killing my son?
He's gonna put an ad in, he did. Put a full-page ad in the New York Times. We're gonna show you later. We'll play the whole clips, and I tell you, you're not gonna be a happy camper. And why Trump doesn't have the balls to just say, hey, I got it wrong. I got it wrong. I made a mistake. Man up. Be a man. Say, hey, I made a mistake. Don't say it'll never happen. I'll try not to let it happen again. But guys, I was hoodwinked like Trump was. We followed the media. We followed the cops. People wanted things done. The cops got it done. But the way they got it done is where the problem is. And, when you follow a Republican Party, or when you follow any party, and I tell you, I got the Nazi Party on my mind, but when you follow a party, sometimes you'll do things that don't make any sense. And the next clip we're going to play is from a Republican from Oregon who actually left his state because he would rather protect the fossil fuel industry than the people of Oregon. I know you're not going to believe this, but guys, the Republican Party in Oregon flew the coop so they wouldn't have a quorum so they could vote. These people are evil. And wait till you hear what this one guy wants to do if anybody comes and tries to bring them back to Oregon so they can vote. I'm telling you, it gets evil. But first, listen to how the senator from Oregon gets it ass backwards. Clip number 8, Kurt.
We believe that carbon dioxide emissions need to be reduced, but this is the most inefficient and expensive way to do it.
Carbon dioxide needs to be reduced. So we're going to do the logical thing, and we're going to leave the state. I know, you don't believe me, so we're going to take it one step further with clip 9. So Kurt, hit it.
So now Oregon state troopers are searching the state to find the Republicans who have fled into hiding so Oregon cannot pass a climate bill.
You believe
and this
this?
is what is happening politically in Oregon right now. It took a dark turn because after law enforcement got involved, this Republican state senator threatened multiple times, overtly, including on tape, that if Oregon state troopers find him and approach him, he will shoot and kill those
Shoot
troopers.
and kill
This is what I
Uncle
told the
Joey.
superintendent. Send bachelors and come heavily armed. I'm not going to be a political prisoner in the state of Oregon. It's just that simple.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine saying this? And it's on tape. You can't deny it. And these are the type of people we're dealing with. And Kurt, I don't want to throw you a curve, but the next clip, I just want to play that part again. The next clip is 9A. And we're just going to play the evilness, the very evil part of the clip again. So Kurt, 9A, please.
This Republican state senator threatened multiple times, overtly, including on tape, that if Oregon state troopers find him and approach him, he will shoot and kill those troopers.
You gotta be sick.
This is what I told the superintendent. Send bachelors and come heavily armed. I'm not going to be a political prisoner in the state of Oregon. It's just that simple.
So you want to kill fellow Americans so that you can promote fossil fuels. This is what we're dealing with, guys. This is what we're dealing with. Right, Uncle Joe? You're proud, right, Kenny? Kenny? Good Americans, right? You want to kill your fellow Americans so they can destroy the planet. This is what we're dealing with. This is sad. This is some sick shit. And I'm almost sorry to say it, but I'm not. And then, you know, guys, I always thought the Koch brothers were behind everything. But with what's been happening with Tucker Carlson, I don't know what's going on anymore. And you're going to be as confused as I am when you watch clip number 10. So, Kurt, hit it.
So for years, the brothers have been the single most important funders of Republican politics in Washington, in the country.
Single
Koch
most
network of
important
donors spends
funders.
hundreds of millions of dollars every election cycle. Virtually every major conservative nonprofit in Washington takes Koch money, often a lot of it. Koch organizations train political organizers and candidates. Many Republican lawmakers owe their careers to the Kochs and are happy to say so.
Many Republican lawmakers owe their careers to the Kochs. Very simple. The Kochs bought them. The Kochs gave them enough money so they can get reelected, and guess who they owe what to? You got it. But you know, you heard the word threats, right? Well, where do you hear Mike Pence and guys, and Kurt, I don't know if we can do this, but we're going to try to count this out. So maybe if you can get like a split screen of me and the video, I don't know if we can do it or not. But guys, I want you to hear how many times Jake Tapper mentions the word climate threat. It's a threat, like we're being attacked. And what is the job of the government? To defend us from threats. So listen how Jake Tapper, and guys, I believe he says it 8 times. He says the word climate threat 8 times, and I'm going to count them off. And if we can't do a split screen, you can just hear me. All right? So, Kurt, number 11, please.
Do you think human-induced climate emergency is a threat to the United States?
Once, threat.
Well, what I will tell you is that we'll always follow the science on that in this administration.
The science says it is. Is it a threat?
All other nations like countries.
But it's what people are calling a climate emergency. Is it a threat? Do you think it's a threat? Man-made climate emergency is a threat.
I think the answer to that is going to be based upon the science.
Well, the science, but it's not a threat.
He said citizens.
So you don't think it's a threat, is all I'm saying. You don't think it's a threat.
I think.
Well, guys, I think I missed a couple because he said it 8 times. But when the Vice President of the United States doesn't recognize a threat, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And, you know, Pence, in the same interview, he defended fossil fuels, coal-burning power plants, and the threat that people were going to have to pay higher electric bills if they couldn't burn coal, which isn't the truth. But listen, he'll do it 3 times. He will try to tell it, well, you got to worry about the rates. This is how you trick people like Kenny Johnson. Oh, I don't want that green energy. I don't want to have to pay more for my electricity. Hey, bonehead, if you knew anything at all, if you watched anything besides Fox News, you'd find out solar and wind are the 2 leading industries, job-growing industries in the country. But you'll never hear that on Fox. But that's why you got Uncle Rich, so I can keep you informed. But I don't know if it's going to work. But listen, let's watch and listen 3 times. Pence will talk about raising the rates. It occurred 12.
Raising the cost of utility rates for working families across this country.
But not for some reason.
What we've said is that we are not going to raise utility rates. The answer, though, is not to raise the utility rates of millions of utility ratepayers across the country.
The answer is not to raise the utility rates. Scare the hell out of the simple folk so that this way, oh, no, I don't want that good green energy. I want the dirty, crappy carbon-producing crap, that coal. That's what I want. These poor, it's a shame. But, you know, we can always have fun because we can always go to a Trump rally and we can listen to the Trump supporters and we can find out how people like Kenny Johnson and Uncle Joey, when they're asked about Trump and his lies, they just say, lies? What lies? So, Kurt, let's prove my point with number 13, please.
Do you worry that President Trump's divisiveness, his lies, is going to hurt him in the long run?
I don't think so, because you can't. you'd have to tell me what he's lied about, first of all. I don't think he's lied about anything. And as far as...
You don't think he's lied about anything?
No.
You don't think he's lied about anything? Stick around. The rest of the show, we're going to show you what he lied about. But first, we're going to have some fun with some stills. All right? We're going to have a little bit of the bada bing. So, Kurt, can you bring that up, please? Guys, this is cute. Can you make that bigger, please? There we go. So this is the climate summit meeting where they have energy independence, preserve rainforests, sustainability, green jobs, livable cities, renewables, clean water, air, healthy children, etc., etc., etc. And one guy asks, but what if it's a big hoax and we create a better world for nothing? Uncle Joey, what if we create a better world for nothing? All right, Kurt, let's have some more fun with the next one. Let's see how Uncle Joey gets brainwashed. Can you bring that up, please, so I can see it? Not now, Carla Jean. Fox is about to tell me what I believe. And it's, guys, that's what it is. You just want to hear like-thinking people. People that tell you the same thing that you believe. When somebody tells you the same thing that you believe, guess what? You're on the same page. He's a good guy. He thinks the same way I do. We're like thinking. Right, Kenny? Kenny and Uncle Joey must have I have a feeling Kenny's Uncle Joe's kid. I don't know. You know, they say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. All right, but we got one more still. So we'll lie for food. Sarah Huckamoose. Oh, man, did she lie. All right, so Kurt, you... All right, guys. Now we're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to play the full clips. We played the teaser clips. Now we're going to play the full clips so we can have even more fun. So, Kurt, let's have number 22 with John Oliver.
At least one of his attendees was genuinely shocked to hear that Trump might have done anything wrong.
I was surprised to hear there was anything negative in the Mueller report at all about President Trump. I hadn't heard that before, and I mainly listened to conservative news, and I hadn't heard anything negative about that report, and President Trump had been exonerated.
Yeah, that's what'll happen when you mainly listen to conservative news. It's like if your only source of information about O.J. Simpson is his new Twitter account. Yeah, that's real. The juice is on Twitter now. And if that was your only source of juice news, you might not understand why this first video that he posted is so alarming.
Now, coming soon to Twitter, you'll get to read all my thoughts and opinions on just about everything. So this should be a lot of fun. I got a little getting even to do.
Oh my God! Oh my God! What does getting even mean for OJ? When you kill 2 people, you're even, 3 people, you're odd, 4 people, you're even again? Is that it? I don't know. But the point I'm making is, if that's the only place you're getting your OJ info, your response to that video might be, OJ looks great. He's 71. Whatever he's been doing, it works. But that woman is by no means alone. The truth is, most people are simply never going to read a 448-page legal document.
There you go.
That is presumably why Congress has been trying to have public hearings to get that information out in a way that might resonate with people better. In fact, McGahn was called to publicly testify last month, which could have been very powerful, and I'm guessing that's why this happened instead.
Former White House counsel Don McGahn was a no-show at a House hearing today after the president insisted he not testify.
Democrats had hoped to hear from former White House counsel Don McGahn. Instead, they were faced with this empty chair.
Great. So Democrats tried to have a hearing, but instead had Passover. They put out a chair for a guest who didn't arrive, and most of America had no idea that it happened. And look, there is a real argument to be made here for concentrating Congress's investigations and the public's attention into one impeachment inquiry. So why not do it? Well, Nancy Pelosi might argue that impeachment is not popular with the public, which is, to be fair, true. Polls consistently show a majority of Americans oppose impeachment proceedings, although it is not quite that simple. Remember, most people don't even know what is in the Mueller report, and numbers can move as people learn more. Look at Nixon. In hindsight, his resignation seems inevitable, but in the early days of the scandal, there was real public resistance to his removal.
Many more things are bothering America than Watergate.
I think they make a big fuss over nothing.
Nothing has been proven illegal about anything he's done, and I think he's on the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrong.
For a while, people thought that Watergate, the scandal that we now use as shorthand for every political scandal, didn't matter. And that's shocking to watch, although, to be fair, in the 1970s, they also thought that shag carpeting was attractive and that Liberace just hadn't met the right girl yet. That decade had a lot to learn. But a Nixon outcome is not the only model. Many Democrats worry that things could instead end up like the Clinton impeachment, where the public wasn't really on board with impeachment from the beginning, and they never got on board. And not only did Clinton survive, his party gained seats in that year's midterms. That is what Democrats are scared about here, that impeachment could end up strengthening Trump for 2020. Although for any Democrats whose main concern is that pursuing impeachment could be the reason they lose in 2020, please relax. It is just one of many ways that Democrats could lose.
Guys, I'm telling you, there are ways that Democrats can lose. But, you know, you look at what's going on, you say, wait a minute, it could be impossible. But I could be wrong. And guys, we're going to go back to the old Fonzie routine with him being wrong. And I tell you, now you kind of get the idea why I do the show every week. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and I want to tell you, I get to vent my frustrations. So all the nonsense that I hear during the week, I get to come here and have fun. And this next clip is going to be a prime example. So, Kurt, number 23, please.
Don't forget that Bond's real. I mean, it's not important. I figured I'd hang in the barracks and cheer up the guys.
Mal, you're not going to hang these up at any barracks because you're not going to join the Marines. Just take all this stuff home, okay?
But Fonzie, not join? I'm all packed. You told me it was the right thing to do.
Look, I know what I told you to do, but when I told you to do that, I was... Ralph, I was not exactly right.
What do you mean, not right?
I mean, not right.
I don't get you. You mean you were wrong?
Yeah, that's right, Malf. I was what you just said I was just then, yeah.
Wrong? The Fonz wrong?
Malf, look. There is a first time for everything, huh?
I don't understand, Fonz. How could you be wrong about a thing like that?
Look, I don't understand it myself, Ralph. I don't understand it myself. I was under a lot of pressure. I was under a lot of cause, too. Two of them were Edsels. Maybe the pressure was getting to me. I don't know.
No, Fonzie. You might have been under a lot of cars, but you weren't wrong. You were right. Everything you said about me was true. I'm useless around here. I gotta join. Everybody hates me. I'll see you.
Mouth! I didn't tell you why I was,
wrong?
I didn't tell you why you shouldn't join the Marines.
Why shouldn't I go, Fonzie? I mean, tell me.
Because if you join the Marines, I'm gonna miss you.
Miss me? But Fonz, you're always telling me to get lost and to sit on it. You even told me I was useless.
Ralphie, don't you know when I'm joshing?
Guys, I wish Trump was joshing, and I wish people would know when he was joshing. But guys, the next clip we're going to play is going to be the full clip with Chris Cuomo, and we're going to go back to the Central 5 case And when you hear, and guys, like I said, I got to be honest with you. When this first happened, I was as pissed off as Trump. But after you see the evidence and the DNA evidence that exonerated him, guess what? It's case closed. You say you're sorry, and guys, these guys got paid a lot of money. They got paid, I think, over $40 million, but they lost their youth. Look what they had to give up because somebody pointed a finger at them, and things happened, and these poor guys suffered. And Cuomo's going to lay it out, the whole thing out, and you could see. And guys, I tell you, you'll feel for these kids. So, Kurt, let's have number 24.
Central Park 5. Don't roll your eyes. It's relevant for two reasons.
Don't roll your eyes.
You have this new Netflix series on the case, and it's highlighted the injustice and the indiscretion of our president. The case captured a city's fear of rampant crime in Gotham. As a young New Yorker, I was alive then. I was very aware of the widespread violence in the 80s, and we were collectively afraid. I had a sister who was mugged twice, she believes by the same man, burned with a cigarette. Terrible. I remember my brother flying in the direction of where it happened, praying he would come back, and I was hearing stories like this all the time. So the city was afraid. The president, then concerned citizen, saw opportunity in the animus. And he went all in trying to make a name for himself over the incident in 1989. He took out a full-page ad in the Times. This was not a man who was looking to spend money that way on the regular. Bring back the death penalty. Bring back our police.
Opportunity.
Who did he want the death penalty for? These 5 black and Latino teenage boys. He tapped into a lot of fear and anger that was very real. Sound familiar?
There you go.
It was a horrible
fear and
rape
anger
that actually happened in the park at night. It was part of this criminal phenomenon at the time called wilding, groups of thugs preying on innocents. A young woman almost died in this horrible sex crime. The facts were damning. The boys were accused of attacking other male joggers that same night. They confessed to doing that. They confessed to raping this young woman. They were tried. They were convicted. The problem was, it was wrong. Prosecutors knew at the time that none of their DNA matched the victim. DNA was early in its use in these trials. Today, maybe it would be different, maybe not. The Central Park 5 claimed their confessions were coerced, products of duress over many hours with teenagers. But they were all in jail for years, one for more than a decade. But then what happened? The man who actually raped the woman confessed. How do we know it was him?
Confessed.
A DNA match. From the
DNA
victim.
match.
He never implicated the boys. He said he acted alone. A judge vacated the convictions, and years of civil suits followed. But still, despite all that new information, the president today said this.
You have people on both sides of that. They admitted their guilt. If you look at Linda Fairstein and if you look at some of the prosecutors, they think that the city should never have settled that case. So we'll leave it at that.
No, we will not. Because that is leaving it at prejudice. There are people on both sides here. But one side was wrong.
That's
maybe intentionally so, maybe not. But here's what we know. The boys didn't do it. The DNA does not lie. And I know that absence of evidence of DNA does not necessarily mean that you weren't there. I get it. I know all about it. But the judge vacated the decisions. Antron McCray, Kevin Richardson, Yusuf Salam, Raymond Santana, Corey Wise. The judge says they didn't do it. People lie. DNA does not. The DNA that was there belonged to none of them. It did belong to a man named Reyes who admitted to the crime alone. I iterate the facts because those are the facts. And I say today there certainly would have been a different process because of the strength of DNA value. But we can't be sure because there's still a problem with prosecutions that produce wrong outcomes, especially when we're talking about black and brown young men. The president says he's all about law and order. That's why I make this argument. So he's all about law and order, but he's going to cling to a proven injustice. And while the case against the prosecutors for prejudice was hard to make, was never made, they settled the case. The one against the man who is now president was made by his own words. In this op-ed back in 2014, the man who would eventually be president actually wrote that even if they didn't do this, they didn't have the past of angels. That is, as a matter of fact, prejudice. And so
that's
on this
prejudice.
day, the president relaunches his pursuit of office. He doubles down on this erroneous sense of justice. He won't admit he was wrong about the Central Park Five, despite the facts. As we prepare to pick a new set of leaders, it's not just what the candidates say and do now that matters. Character is formed over time. As clear as it is that this president was wrong about the Central Park Five and that his clinging to his belief reflects a prejudice against them, it's clear that he has never learned from his mistakes. Strong and wrong is a dangerous combination, and one we see from this president back then and today. Thank you for watching. See you.
Strong and wrong. I tell you, Cuomo's, I tell you, he's got it together. He's a lawyer. He knows how to ask the right questions, and he takes no prisoners. He's like me, but he's smarter. And guys, the next clip we're going to play, we only want to reinforce what we just heard. More verification to prove our point. So, Kurt, we're going to go to number 27 now. Hit it.
Maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done.
He wanted
I felt like
5
they might
innocent
take us to the
boys
back of the
killed.
precinct and kill us.
This is a hugely important story. I wish I could tell you it was unique, that 5 Black and Hispanic boys were arrested for a crime they didn't do and sent away for a crime they didn't do. But unfortunately, it's all too common in the United States. And so the Central Park Five has to be emblematic for a lot of other people whose stories aren't told. There was a orange-haired real estate developer in New York at the time of the Central Park Jogger case who took out full-page ads in all the daily newspapers asking for the return of the death penalty and more police.
Of course I hate these people, and let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done.
And he believed that these children should be executed, even though, of course, even the return of the death penalty would disqualify the execution of children. It was horrific then, it's horrific to hear it now.
And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate him.
We should be talking about it, talking to the now men who went through this, and always having our ear to the ground to this pernicious racism in our country that exists, despite the fact that we know in our hearts that you judge a person by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. I'm quoting Dr. Martin Luther King.
I don't think we should admit to something that we didn't do.
Okay, we keep fighting.
If I was starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
That devil wants to kill my son. You gonna take an ad out about killing my son?
Guys, we all make mistakes. We all get things wrong. It happens. When you get it wrong, make it right. Don't be a bonehead and try to further confuse the situation, because when you do that, you make everybody crazy. And when we talk about crazy, the next clip, we're going to show you the people in Oregon that would rather leave the state than to see us invest in green energy. Guys, they want to protect the fossil fuel industries, and they'll go to any length to do so, including leave the state. And we'll prove it now. This is a local Fox station, but they did a pretty nice job. I mean, it wasn't like the Fox you see out of New York. But anyway, Kurt, let's prove my point with clip 28, please.
Staging a walkout, Senate Republicans are protesting House Bill 2020, and tonight they're nowhere to be found.
And here is what's making this bill so controversial. It includes a plan to cut carbon emissions in Oregon and would invest money in clean energy jobs, but it would also raise taxes, and some say it would cost Oregonians thousands of jobs. Tonight we know those senators haven't just left the Capitol, they've left the state.
There is a lot to unpack here, so let's get straight to Fox 12's Sarah Hurwitz. She's live in Salem with the very latest. Sarah.
Yeah, good evening. You know, some strong words from Governor Kate Brown today, and a historic move for her in directing Oregon State Police to go find those senators. But those Republican senators tell us today that they are not backing down. House Bill 2020 was about to hit the Senate floor Thursday, but Oregon Senate Republicans had a different idea: stage a walkout in protest of the controversial legislation.
Unfortunately, Senate Republicans failed to show up and failed to do their jobs.
Governor Kate Brown would have none of that in a historic move directing Oregon State Police to go find the 11 senators and bring them back to the Capitol. Senate President Peter Courtney announcing a $500 fine per Republican for each day that they're absent from the floor.
This is the saddest day of my legislative life.
The hope is to have enough legislators for a quorum and a vote on House Bill 2020. The clean energy bill, Governor Brown says, is legislation that the state needs to act on now.
Oregon would be the second state in the entire nation to move forward on a comprehensive cap and invest strategy. It would have been historic for Oregon, historic for the country, and frankly, historic for the world.
But Oregon Senate Republicans argue the bill would create a significant change in Oregon's economy. Fox 12 spoke with Oregon Republican Senator Tim Knopp over the phone.
None of the input from our constituencies, from the districts we represent, was really incorporated into the bill. It is going to cost Oregon thousands of jobs in manufacturing and the agriculture and timber industries.
Senator Knopp says the bill raises gas tax 22 cents a gallon and raises home heating prices using natural gas more than 50%. He says all 11 senators are out of the state right now, which is out of OSP's jurisdiction. But OSP confirmed resources out of the state are helping in the effort, and officers will avoid any kind of physical contact, including handcuffing. Knopp says if both sides can't find a deal, Oregon Senate Republicans are prepared to continue the walkout for several days.
We believe that carbon dioxide emissions need to be reduced, but this is the most inefficient and expensive way to do it.
Now, Senator Knopp wouldn't specify where all of those Republican senators are right now. He says they are expected, or preparing rather, to stay out of state and continue their protest through June 30th at midnight. That's when the legislative session ends. Of course, the Democrats here, they are just hoping that OSP can track all of those senators down, bring them back here for a vote. Reporting live here in Salem tonight, Sarah Hurwitz, Fox 12 Oregon.
Now, guys, did you notice the one thing that was missing? Did you notice the one thing she didn't mention that the Republicans said they were going to do to anybody that came to drag them back to Oregon? So you see, the people that watch Fox don't get the whole story. I'm sure if she would have told the people, hey, when they go to bring them back to Oregon, they're threatening to blow the brains out of any cops that come near them. And guys, the next clip, when you hear it, If this doesn't make you sick, then there's something wrong with you. It's that simple. If this doesn't ruffle your feathers, you're not an American. I don't know. You must be a Russian, right, Uncle Joe? I think Uncle Joey speaks Russian, right, Uncle Joe? But guys, the next clip is Ali Velshi. Kurt always corrects me when I get names wrong. And guys, I tell you, here's his take on it. So Kurt, number 29.
Here's something worth watching on the West Coast over the weekend. This is the Oregon State Legislature in Salem, Oregon. Democrats have majority control there. The governor, Kate Brown, is a Democrat. Both the House and the Senate have big Democratic majorities. One of the Democrats' priorities for this session is to pass a cap and trade bill. It's a climate bill, which Republicans adamantly oppose. However, there aren't enough Republicans in the Oregon House or Senate to defeat a bill like that, and so the Democrats were poised to pass it. But Republicans figured out the one thing they could do. They could leave. In order to have a quorum to make any decision or take any action at all, the Senate in Oregon needs 20 senators to be present. 18 senators are Democrats. They need 2 Republicans to show up as well to be allowed to take any action on any vote. On Wednesday night, the Republicans all left, and they haven't been seen since. The Senate president formally requested that the governor dispatch Oregon State troopers to go find them. So now Oregon State troopers are searching the state to find the Republicans who have fled into hiding, so Oregon cannot pass a climate bill. And this is what is happening politically in Oregon right now. It took a dark turn because after law enforcement got involved, this Republican state senator threatened multiple times, overtly, including on tape, that if Oregon State troopers find him and approach him, he will shoot and kill those troopers.
This is what I told the superintendent. Send bachelors and come heavily armed. I'm not going to be a political prisoner in the state of Oregon. It's just that simple.
The rhetoric caught the interest of armed militia groups in Oregon and nearby Idaho, one of whom told the Daily Beast they were mobilized to protect the runaway Republicans and that there was, quote, potential for violence, and that they would defend the senators, quote, at any cost. And now tonight, we're getting word from a reporter for a local NBC station in Oregon that tomorrow's Senate session has been canceled because of reports of a planned rally that may include militia members. I don't know how this resolves in Oregon, but Godspeed and good luck to the state police who are trying to do their jobs in the face of this.
Could you imagine saying that to the cops that are coming to bring you back to Oregon? You're going to kill them? We're going to shoot you? Is this how sick the Republican Party has gotten? Is this where these people are going? They don't get their way. You can't destroy the planet fast enough, so now you want to start shooting troopers when they come to bring you back in so that you can do what you were elected to do, vote, instead of running like a bunch of slimy weasels. You leave the state. Why? So you can protect the people that elected you? I mean, that paid to have you elected? Is that what you want to do? Is that the way it's going to be? Kenny, is that you, Kenny? Is that the way you think? You're going to shoot the first person that tells you you can't drive your car anymore? Oh, poor Kenny, I tell you. But guys, the next clip we're going to do is Tucker Carlson with the Cokes. And we're going to try something new on this show. As the clip plays, when there's something that's really super stupid, I'm going to signal and we're going to have Kurt stop it. So I can comment. So let's see how far we can get, and let's see how we can do this so that we can make it. Guys, like I said, this is the first time we're going to try this. So Kurt, let's roll number 30 and let's try our best.
Charles and David Koch are 2 of the richest men in the world. Each one of them is worth tens of billions of dollars. Some of their money is inherited, much of it they made themselves. But to their credit, the Kochs have never been content merely to get richer. They are engaged intellectuals. They have a sincere desire to change the world.
Oh no, I was scratching my nose.
So for years, the brothers have been the single most important funders of Republican politics in Washington and the country. The Koch network of donors spends hundreds of millions of dollars every election cycle. Virtually every major conservative nonprofit in Washington takes Koch money, often a lot of it. Koch organizations train political organizers and candidates. Many Republican lawmakers owe their careers to the Kochs and are happy to say so. For people whose main business is making fertilizer and paper towels, the Kochs have been remarkably effective in American politics. And not surprisingly, the left hates them for it. Both the Koch brothers and their families, who by the way are very nice people, have been grotesquely and repeatedly maligned by the media. This in turn has convinced many conservatives that the Kochs must be on their side. Anyone who's been slandered by the New York Times has got to be doing something right. That's the idea. It's not a bad standard, but in this case, in the case of the Kochs, conservatives might want to pause and rethink the relationship. As it turns out, the Kochs don't have much in common with conservatives. They are in fact totally opposed to most conservative policy goals. The Kochs are libertarian ideologues. They're passionate and inflexible about what they believe. America first? The Kochs find the very notion of that absurd, if not fascist. An economic policy that seeks to strengthen families? The Kochs denounce that as, quote, crony capitalism or picking winners and losers. They think it's immoral, and they'll tell you so. Controlling our borders? The Kochs consider that racist. A few years ago, in fact, Bernie Sanders noted that the Koch brothers are far to the left of him on immigration. Open borders, quote, that's a Koch brothers proposal, Bernie Sanders said.
Wait a minute. So the Koch brothers are saying they want open borders? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that makes sense. This way they can hire the people that come across at a lower rate than the people that are actually in the country already. Aha! So that's it. So they want open borders so they can get cheaper labor. All right. Kurt, go on.
He was right. But in fact, it's more than a proposal. It's in effect what we have now in this country, open borders. And that's thanks in part to the Kochs. The overwhelming majority of Republicans want a secure border and less immigration. That's why they voted for Donald Trump. 2.5 years later, though, the border is more porous than ever. A tide of humanity is flooding in illegally. Republicans in Congress have done almost nothing to help with the situation. Why? Well, you can thank the Kochs for that. In 2018, Koch-backed organizations, the Freedom Network and Americans for Prosperity, pressured Republicans in Congress to use their limited post-election lame duck session to pass an amnesty for the so-called Dreamers. Going into this election, the 2020 race, amnesty remains the Kochs' top legislative priority. So if you're wondering why the Republican Party often seems completely out of sync with its own voters, this is why.
So wait a minute. So they want amnesty too? And they're funding the Republican politicians who want a wall, but the Kochs want open borders. I'm confused. So let's keep the confusion going with part 2. Kurt, number 32.
And it's not just on immigration. The Koch network has also successfully pushed Republicans to join the left in going soft on crime. The Kochs aggressively backed the First Step Act, which is currently allowing drug traffickers to leave prison early. They support the Sentencing Reform and Corrections Act that would cut required penalties for heroin and cocaine traffickers in half. Now keep in mind, they're doing all of this in the middle of the deadliest drug epidemic in American history. The Kochs don't even bother to argue that these so-called reforms would help any law-abiding American in any way. They just believe it's the right thing, the libertarian thing to do.
Let me try to...
So they're pushing for it. On economics, meanwhile, you won't be surprised to learn that the Kochs hold views that bear no resemblance at all to what most Republican voters believe. The Kochs have pushed for cuts to Social Security and Medicare, for example. A vast majority of Americans are opposed to that. Most Republicans are opposed to that. Like almost everyone else, by the way, Republicans want lower drug prices. Drugs are expensive and getting more so. And yet the Kochs are working to kill a bill introduced by Senators Josh Hawley and Rick Scott that will prevent drug companies from charging Americans...
Wait a minute. So they want to kill a bill The Koch brothers want to kill a bill that will lower prescription drug prices? Ah, so maybe they got buddies in the pharmaceutical industry. So that explains it. Kurt, continue.
More than they charge the people of Canada or France. That seems like a fair idea to most people. The Kochs are preventing it from happening. Then the Kochs helped draft the 2017 tax cut. That turned out to be a far better deal for corporate America than it was for the American middle class. A majority of Republicans support capping interest rates on credit cards and payday loans. The Kochs think that idea is ridiculous. In fact, some years ago when David Koch ran for vice president as a libertarian, abolishing all usury laws...
Kurt, look at that. He ran for vice president as a libertarian, and he got his ass kicked. And what happened after that? He said, you know what? I don't need to go through the shame and the ridicule. I'll buy the government. And from then on, that's what happened. Hey, I'll make sure you get elected. You make sure once you get in office, you do what I tell you to do. Any questions? Continue, Kurt.
Part of his platform. Now, there's nothing surprising about any of this or illegitimate. It's what many rich liberals believe. It's just not what most Republicans believe. And that's a problem, given that the Kochs are the single most powerful figures in the Republican Party. The Kochs don't seem interested in hearing you complain about that or anything else, actually. Remarkably, they have now joined the left-wing campaign against free speech in America. Next month, the Charles Koch Institute will hold a summit with the Anti-Defamation League and executives from major tech companies, including Pinterest, Airbnb, Patreon, Mozilla. The stated purpose of the meeting is to formulate, quote, best practices on the fight against hate and extremism online, end quote. But you know exactly what that really means. It means censorship of your views. For the left, fighting extremism always entails crushing normal conservatives. That's why Pinterest has censored live action. It's why Patreon banned Milo Yiannopoulos. It's why Mozilla drove out Brendan Eich for the crime of donating to the wrong political campaign. Big tech has become a far greater threat to your freedom than the federal government. Kochs don't care about that. Nothing Google does violates libertarian orthodoxy. More to the point, the Kochs don't care about Republican voters or what happens to them.
Guys, I want to thank Kurt.
Okay, that's fine. No law requiring them to care.
Doing a fine job.
Why are they running the Republican Party?
Sound like Trump.
That's
doing
a question
a fine
Republicans
job.
should start asking themselves.
I want to thank John. John's coming down from upstate to help out. I want to thank him. I want to thank Candy. And guys, hopefully, Kenny Johnson will start watching the videos that we put up for him. Kenny, don't be afraid. Nobody's going to bite you. And you're not going to turn into a Trumpkin. It's that simple. And Kenny, we love you, even though we give you the business. Because eventually, sooner or later, you're going to start voting Democrat when you realize you've been had. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. And I have no idea what we're going to do, but I'm sure with Trump in office, we'll have plenty to talk about. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, check us out on Facebook.